Okay, hi. Let's do a little bit of chaos and destruction. We start with a first-person project file. Let's name it chaos and choose the arena shooter variant, and the rest I guess is fine. So let's start by moving the player start a little bit here, and going to bring in a couple of meshes. So let's see if we can find a pillar. Maybe there's already something. Yeah, okay, this looks good. So let's bring in this one. This one. Let's bring in this sandstone boulder here. Let's also bring in some wood. And maybe a material or two. Okay, so we have a couple of assets in our scene, and we're going to bring them in. They should be in the Megascans folder. First column, second one. Let's bring in the wooden log and the boulder. Whew, big one. Okay, so maybe we want to scale things a little bit down or up. That looks nice. And what we can do is we can add already a new material to the mesh. By adding a new slot here and save it for now. So this is one way of doing it, and then we add a different material to it, because this will those materials will work, but we're going to fracture them, and then for the new edges that will appear, we need a new material. So that's why we downloaded the other one here. Let's maybe go with this one and drag it in here. So this pillar has two materials now. Only one is assigned right now to the outer surfaces, and this one we will use for the cracks, and we will maybe do it differently with the other assets. So we're going to change the mode now here to fracture, and then we can work a little bit on those assets. So I will make it a little bit wider, and also, yeah, I guess that's fine. So first, what we have to do is, this is a static mesh, and we have to make a new geometry collection out of it by clicking that button here, and in the content folder we can create a new folder. Let's call it chaos, and make another new folder for meshes. And in here we're going to put the new collections that we're going to make. The rest we can leave as it is. Just click on create new collection, and you will notice that the material is gone. Whoopsie daisy. But it actually isn't. We can still see it here. But this mesh collection has a setting that it will show the bone color, and that we can turn off. so we can see the original material again. And right now there's only one level. It's not fractured yet, but it does have a collisions now, so we could use it with physics. And actually let's do this with the other object here as well, with boulder. Put it in the same folder and also uncheck this. So if we move this now up, maybe above the pillar, we can basically drop it on top of the pillar and we can see how the physics are working. We can go here and simulate it, and you will see they both collide. So we have rigid body collisions and what we want now is that the pillar is going to shatter into pieces when it's hit by the boulder. Maybe we make it a little bit smaller. Very big boulder. Okay. So let's do that by selecting the pillar again, and here we have different fracture patterns that will be used for different cases. For example, if you want to fracture rock or stone, I recommend using the uniform or the cluster diagram. So it's based on Voronoi. Let's use this one. You can explode the elements here a little bit once they are fractured, and you have two previews. You can basically see the diagram here and the amount of pieces, of fragments you'll get. It's the minimum Voronoi size and the maximum. So if we maybe put in, let's say, make it really detailed, 500 pieces. You will also get preview pieces here. My camera is quite fast. Wasn't that here somewhere, the camera speed? Oh, no. Okay, I'm kind of lost right now. Ah, here it is. Okay. Make it a little bit slower. Yeah. Where were we? We can break the pieces and you can see what the Voronoi cells will look like. And the quality of those fragments we can change a little bit. We can add asperity to them and make them a little bit uneven, so we don't get those clean cuts. This is not what we expect from rock. So first of all, we're going to increase the amplitude a little bit, and we will be able to see that on those gray preview blocks. And we will decrease the point spacing. Let's bring it down to 5. And it's a bit annoying that they always get a new seed. So you can see you have those faces that have a maximum edge length now, I guess, of 5. And we can bring it down even further. And then you get pieces that look a little bit more organic. I think this is good. Maybe we go down to 2. And if the shape gets too complex, we might add some samples for the collisions, but we're going to leave this. So this will be more precise, I guess, the collisions, but we'll leave this for now. And we can assign an eternal material here for the new edges, but since we didn't do it on this pillar, there will be the outer material will be applied automatically. So let's click on fracture, and we will get some new bones here. You can will take some time. And you see there's like 343 bones. And now we can also, if we turn that off, actually we can switch to selection mode. You can actually see the fractures now. Let's turn off the highlight and then we can see maybe more. So you see this is what the fragments look like from that pillar. You get the interior material, which is not really suitable. We will change that later. And you get those nice fragments. Okay, so let's just see what happens when we run simulation now. Nothing much. So still we have a complete pillar, and this is, my guess is, because the damage that is done to the pillar is not enough. So what you do next is you select the pillar again and you look in the physics. Actually, let's just type in damage, and then you can see a damage threshold here. And we bring this down. Let's delete a 0 here and maybe here, and then see what happens when we run the simulation again. This looks much better. So it's a bit shaky and it's a bit breaking, so the fragmentation is actually working. Let's maybe bring it down a little bit more even. And rerun the sim. Okay. So it doesn't look much different. We will bring the values even down some more. Yeah, and now it shatters much more into smaller pieces. We can exaggerate it even more. Let's see what happens. I think this is not working while I'm running the simulation. Okay. So now it shatters completely. So if this is what we want, fine. But maybe we want to have a bigger fragments. And what we can do is we can go back to the fracture mode and again stop the simulation. And we're going to attach now some of these fragments into clusters. So there are different ways that we can do that. For example, we can make a selection like maybe this here, or actually let's leave that part. Let's select a middle part here and make this into a cluster by clicking this button. And then you can see that those yeah, and then you have the different levels here. You can look at the root, which of course is not fractured. You can look at level 1, which now has this one element. And if that breaks, you have it separately here as a different level. What else can you do? You can use auto cluster. Let's select all of it again, and with auto cluster you can name the desired amount of fragments. And for example, we can put here like 100 fragments and clusters, and it will make a set of clusters. Or it didn't for some reason. Okay, let's go back. try again before we did the thing. Yeah, okay. Now it's working. So basically you have 100 clusters now, and again you can divide those again into bigger groups. So now you have 50 and then maybe 10, and those are hierarchically, right? So yeah, I guess this is actually quite good. Okay, so yeah, this one is done. Let's try another one. Let's do the same with this one. You also can use different fracture patterns. For example, you could make it into bricks. If this was a wall, I would of course choose the brick pattern. Or if it was a breaking window, maybe I would go for the radial pattern. Let's try clusters for now, and we can again turn on the preview so we see what's happening. And first of all, of course, we need to make a new collection. In the chaos meshes again. Again, we will change the color to the original, and we will turn on the preview. And this time we have a dedicated material for the cuts, and we can use that for the interior basically. So let's turn on the visualization again here, the draw patterns. This time maybe we'll make a straight cuts, or we will increase the point spacing a little bit, let's say to 8, so it looks a little bit more actually worse. But yeah, let's just try it, and we're going to fracture it into 85 pieces. So this one maybe will look a lot less nice than this one, but we're trying different things here. Okay, and maybe now we will try something like we have some pieces here, and we might want to cluster them differently. So we can also, for example, use the magnet, which will select the adjacent ones. So if I click on cluster, it will combine them to a cluster. So every time I click, it will basically make a new cluster, and I can say how many pieces should be connected. Basically, I need to select something first. So now you get a much bigger chunk. Okay, yeah, so maybe with the other one, because here we have the material now in the cracks. I will go back to this one, and we will take a look at how we can get the material in there. You can use this utility here, and you add a material slot, and then you can bring in the material. We will use maybe this one now, so it's not all the same. And then we can assign index 1, this material, to the internal faces. And we click assign, and then we get this new material inside here. We can also do UVs for this, but I guess it's not necessary in this case. So those are the pieces. We will do the same now here with this one. Again, add a slot, bring in, maybe we use this one now here, so it doesn't look all the same. And we don't have internal faces yet, so if I do this now, nothing much will happen. And let's do a uniform fracture again, 500 pieces, why not? Let's fracture it. Again, no, I did make a new collection. Oh no, it's happening, it's just very slow. because it's a lot of it. Maybe the mesh is a bit more high res, that's why it takes maybe longer. Fracture, and there we have 400 fragments. Let's again use the auto cluster. Maybe we make 50 clusters. Okay. And you see inside is already the new material, or isn't it? No, it looks like the new one. Okay, just to be sure, we can again see what happens if we assign that material index 1 to the internal faces. Doesn't change a thing. So the new one is in there, and now we go back to selection mode and take a look at our simulation. So interesting, what happened is that this pillar collapsed now even before it was hit. That's quite interesting. Let's check the damage here again. Make it a little bit more stable. Okay, I don't know, for probably because I changed the values while the simulation was running or something like that. Now it looks quite decent. Okay, so one last thing that we probably should do or should check out is, of course, we can take a look at again at the values here. Also, this boulder is not really breaking apart because those values are a bit high, I guess, and they kind of correlate to what you see here in the fracturing part. You have here the different levels. So to break level 1, I guess you need this damage, this energy, and to break level 2, this one, and so on. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they correlate. Yeah, so now also the boulder is fragmenting a little bit, and yeah, this is what we wanted. Now let's take a look maybe at the wood, because for example wood and glass, maybe we want to fracture it slightly differently. So maybe I put this also here like this. So we did the uniform and the cluster, and maybe now it's time. Actually, you can use meshes. For example, if you want to have a nice wood structure, a special one, you can also bring in a mesh and select it here in the cutting actor. But we're going to use a planar one now, a planar mesh, basically planar cutter object, if you want to call it like that. And again, we need to make a collection, otherwise nothing much is going to happen. Again, the color. Again, we get a wood material here, in the interior, and actually we should see a cutter plane now. I wonder why we don't. Okay, there it is. Weird things are happening, and you see there is, because we changed those settings before, I guess the noise settings give us a little bit of an uneven plane. So maybe we reduce the point spacing again to make it much more detailed, and then we increase the noise and maybe the frequency too. So we get a little bit more something that looks like a wood structure, a broken piece of wood. Actually, I will overdo it a little bit. And we click fracture, and then we can already see that it actually looks pretty much like a broken piece of wood. Yeah. So this is how you break a piece of wood, I guess. Okay, I guess we call it a day. That's it for today. Bye.